Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Ambrish Kumar. I completed my BTech from NIT Patna in the year 2011. Then I worked for almost 5 years as a piping engineer in Gurugram. In the year 2016, I appeared in the GMAT exam twice. I scored 49 and 50 in quant, but I couldn't score well in verbal. But then I decided that, okay, I will quit my job and I will start my career in the teaching field. So from 2016 onwards, I'm in this teaching industry. And as of now, I'm working as a freelancer part-time faculty in Vedantu as well as track B education. So overall, I'm having 9 years of teaching experience. I'm taking the classes for the exams, competitive exams like CAT, GMAT, and also I'm taking the classes for IIT JEE. So that's all about my experience and my educational background. Now I'm going to start with a topic, and this is a very, very important topic that we have in CAT as well as GMAT. So see, the topic that we are going to start is inequations or inequalities. So let's try to see. We will be doing some questions, good questions. But before that, we must understand the basics of inequations, inequalities. Inequality or inequation. So look, we all are very much aware about the equation when we are having some left-hand side, when we are having some equality sign and some right-hand side. Now coming to the inequality or inequation means you are going to have either less than symbol or greater than symbol. So the first thing that I am going to explain, what do we mean by these two symbols? So look, if we write x is greater than y, so this is simply we can say that x is greater than y. But when we are having the symbol greater than as well as this equality sign, so look, this means x is either greater or equal to y. So see here, you have to be careful here. Look, when we are having two numbers at the same time, x cannot be greater as well as equal. So either x will be greater or it will be equal. So that's why when we have greater than equal to sign, x can either be equal or it can be greater. Both the things cannot happen at the same time. Now, if I write 6 is greater than 6, that is false. But if I write 6 is greater than equals to 6, this is true. If I write 7 is greater than equals to 6, this is again true. Clear? Obviously, writing 5 greater than 6 or 5 greater than equals to 6, this is false example. In the same manner, less than symbol. So like we have x less than y. So this we write like this. So this symbol stands for less than, and this symbol stands for greater than. So this we call out as x is less than y. And similarly, if you have x less than equals to y, so this is your x is either less or equal to y. Again, be careful. You cannot have the both the things together like x is lesser as well as equal. Either x will be less or it will be equal. Clear? Now we have to keep two rules in our mind that we also call as properties of inequations. So what are the properties? So the first property, see, if you have x either less than or greater than or less than equal to or greater than equal to y. So if x is greater than y, then see, the first property says that adding some constant on both the sides, the equation remains the same. Means you are adding k to x, you are adding k to y. So x plus k remains greater as compared with y plus k. Similarly, if you are subtracting the same constant, the symbol greater than remains as it is. So x minus k is greater than y minus k. But you have to be careful with the multiplication. K times x will be greater than k times y only if the k is a positive constant. And kx becomes lesser than k times y if k, the constant you are taking here, is negative. Just see the example. 5 is greater than 3. Now multiply both the sides with 2. 5 into 2 becomes 10. 10 is greater than 3 into 2, 6. But now you multiply with negative 2. 5 multiply with negative 2 becomes negative 10. 3 into negative 2 becomes negative 6. If you put the same sign greater than, it's a false here. Minus 10 actually is a smaller as compared with negative 6. So that's why you have to be careful. Whenever we have the situation like we multiply some constant, that is a negative constant on both the sides of the inequation, the greater than symbol will change to less than, the less than symbol will change to greater than symbol. Clear? Now see the interesting thing here. So actually, whenever we solve the equation and we get negative x greater than 5. Look, if we have the equation like negative x equals to 5, we can directly write x equals to negative 5. That is the answer. But here you have to be careful. If you think that we can simply take this negative sign on right with 5 and we write this x as negative 5, no, this is false. Actually, see the basic. We have to remove this negative sign from the x. So actually you have to multiply this with minus 1. And same you multiply here with minus 1. So minus 1 into minus x becomes x. 5 into minus 1 becomes 5. As we are multiplying a negative number here, the greater than symbol has to be changed with less than symbol. Clear? Same property we have with division as well. So x by k will be greater than y by k if k is positive. And x by k will be less than y by k if k is negative. And look, obviously you cannot divide by 0. So that's why I have clearly stated here, either k is positive or negative. Both the sides, even if you multiply with 0, both the sides becomes 0. So that technique you don't have to apply here, right? And division by 0 is anyway undefined. Now, few interesting results that we have for inequations. Like say, we are having two more properties, like say here, fifth one. If x is greater than y, then 1 by x becomes less than 1 by y only if x and y both are either positive or negative. See here carefully. 3 is greater than 2. So if you take the reciprocal 1 by 3 and 1 by 2, now 1 by 2 becomes greater. So we have to change the symbol. Same with negative. Negative 3 is less than negative 2. But if you are taking negative 1 by 3 and negative 1 by 2, now negative 1 by 3 becomes greater. So when x and y both are negative or both are positive, then taking the reciprocal, the greater than sign changes to lesser than changes to greater than. But be careful. If we have one positive number and one negative number, like 3 is greater than negative 2. Now if you are taking the reciprocal, look, the reciprocal of 3, which is a positive number, so its reciprocal is again positive. And similarly, negative 2, negative number, its reciprocal is again negative. Positive will always be greater than negative. So in that case, we don't have to change the inequality sign. Clear? So you have to be careful where we can change the inequality sign, where we cannot change the inequality sign. Now, one more interesting fact. If x is greater than 0, then many a times we think that, okay, x is positive, so its reciprocal becomes negative. No, x is positive. The reciprocal of a positive number also remains as positive. Or x is negative, its reciprocal also remains as negative. Now, seventh property, always be careful. If you have, let us say, A by B greater than C by D. Always I will suggest you, many a times what happens, a student cross multiply as we do for A by B equals to C by D. We write like, okay, A into D equals to B into C. If you think that we can do the same thing with the inequation, sometimes you may get the correct answer, sometimes you might be having problem, you might be getting the wrong answer. So always avoid the cross multiplication. Rather, what you do, just take this right hand side expression on the left hand side. A by B negative C by D, and this you write as greater than 0. So this is the recommended process that we always follow. Clear? And you know one thing, like go to the first property. See what is the first property. When I say x is greater than y, you can add the same constant. Like see, if we have x plus 5 greater than 8. Now, as we know that on both the sides, we can add or subtract the same constant. So here we are subtracting 5, here we are subtracting 5. So finally we get x greater than, look, minus 5 plus 5 cancel, x greater than 8 minus 5. So what we can conclude from here? This positive 5, if you take this to the right side, it becomes negative, as we are doing with the equations. In case of plus and minus sign, we can do the same thing here. Clear? So some constant is on the left with positive sign, it goes on the right with negative sign. Some constant is there on the right, or even if we have variable, that also you can take from left to right, right to left, and you have to change the sign. Clear? So these are the basic properties that we always have to keep in mind. Now here comes the sign. Like you are given with some expression, right? Like see the basic questions. Like we have the question, we are given that, okay, 2x plus 5 is greater than 0. So how we have to simplify this? So look, we can take this 5 on the right hand side. It becomes 2x greater than negative 5. And look, 2 is a positive constant. So both the side, if you divide by 2, you don't have to change the sign because you are dividing by a positive constant. And here 2 gets cancelled out. Finally, we get x greater than negative 5 by 2. So this is how we solve the linear inequation and having only one variable. But yes, we can have more than one variables, right? Two variables can be there as well. We can have the quadratic expressions, quadratic linear inequations. So how we solve that, I will come to that. So I just want to explain you the sign that we also call as sign scheme, sign of a rational function. For example, let us say I give you the question, solve for x. And I give you the inequation like x minus 2, x minus 3 whole square. Then let us say x plus 4 is there. In the denominator, we have x minus 5 power 3. Let us say x plus 4 again having power 3 or 5. And then we are having x plus 6. Okay. Let us say this is having power 4. And this we have to solve for greater than 0. So look, what is the technique? Rational function means some expression in the numerator, some expression in the denominator. And obviously you have to factorize the expressions that we have. Look, you won't be getting like power 5, power 6, this kind of situation. But if it happens, how we have to deal with it? And look, sometimes we say that, sir, only numerator is there, no denominator, like numerator is 1 or some constant, we have some expression in denominator. Then also you can apply this method. If you have simply the things in numerator, denominator is nothing. Simply 1 is the denominator. Then also you can apply. Means you can apply this with simply having numerator or only having denominator or having numerator and denominator both. In all the cases, we can apply this method. So look, what do we mean by solving the x? We have to find that value of x for which this complete expression becomes a positive number. Look, in this expression, you can put x as 5, 10, 12, 13, 14, minus 10, minus 7. There are many values of x. Now, for some value of x, you might be getting a positive answer. When you put in this expression, for some value of x, you might be getting negative answer. So I just want to know what are those values of x for which we would be getting the positive answer for this particular expression, for this particular function, and what are those values of x for which we would be getting the negative values, and both the values we can decide in one go. So see what we just have to do here. Obviously, as I told you, you have to factorize the expressions that we have in numerator and denominator. So I have already written in the factor form like x minus 2, x minus 3, x plus 4, x minus 5, x plus 6. So all the factors one by one, you have to equate to 0, like x minus 2 equals to 0. From here, you get x as 2. Similarly, x minus 3, 0, you get x as 3. X plus 4 as 0, you get x as minus 4. Then x minus 5, 0, so you get x as 5. And then x plus 6 equals to 0, you get x as negative 6. Now see, these values you have to take on the number line like 2, 3, minus 4, 5 and negative 6 in order. Order means in ascending order. So just write down these values on the number line. So look, the lowest, the smallest number, this is your negative 6. So first you have to write the negative 6. After that, you will be having the number negative 4. So then we have negative 4. Then you will be having the number 2, 3 and 5 is there. So 2, then you are going to have 3 and then you are going to have 5. It's going up to infinite. And on the left, it's going up to negative infinite. Clear? Now see, what is the sign of the expression? Means here before the expression having no sign means it's positive. So whatever the sign that we have before the expression, from positive infinity, you have to start with that particular sign. So it's positive here, so you write positive here. So from infinity, you start giving the positive sign. You reach the number 5. 5 you get from this factor, x minus 5. Now, what is the power, the exponent of x minus 5? Rule is that, look, once you are starting from the sign, look, the sign of the expression, whatever you have, with that sign, we start from the positive infinity. So here we have positive sign. So we start with positive sign from infinity. We reach the first number 5. Now, we go and check. We have to check the power of this particular factor x minus 5. That is 3. The rule is that if the power is odd, you have to change the sign. Means after 5, you have to change the sign. So we are having only two signs, positive and negative. So if positive you change, you will start getting negative sign. So for odd power, we have to change the sign. Now you go to the number 3. Now the factor x minus 3 have the power 2. For even power, you continue with the same sign, no change of sign. So we have to continue with the negative sign after 3. Up to what? Up to the number 2. Again, we go and check the factor x minus 2. Here the power is 1, that is again odd. So again you have to change the sign. So negative, look, before 2 means on the right of 2. On the right of 2, look, we are going right to left. So that is the movement. So on the right of 2, you had negative sign, you change the sign. Now you are going to get positive sign here. Now you go to the number negative 4 that you are getting from this factor. X plus 4 having again odd power, again change the sign. Plus changes to minus. Go to x plus 6. Minus 6 is the number. So x plus 6 having even sign. You don't have to change. Means this negative sign continues up to negative infinity. Now see, this gives you the answer. What does this sign scheme means? It means, look, this complete expression will give you the positive value when you are taking the x from negative 4 to 2 and then from 5 to infinity. And then for rest of the intervals, like from negative infinite to negative 6, negative 6 to negative 4, 2 to 3 and 3 to 5, if there you take any value of x, like between 2 and 3, you take the value of x as 2.5, this expression will give you the negative answer. If you take the value of x between 3 and 5, like 4, this expression will give you the negative answer. If you take the value of x as negative 5, negative 8, that will give you the negative answer for this expression. Now, we are having two important things here. Like, we have to see, like, where we have to include the number, where we have to exclude the number. Which numbers? These numbers, negative 6, negative 4, 2, 3, 5. And look, you will be getting more clarity when actually we solve the questions. Sometimes, like see, we have negative from 2 to 3 and 3 to 5. So sometimes we can merge these two intervals to write as one single interval. Sometimes we cannot. So how to decide? So always keep in mind the numbers that you get from the denominator factors like 5 and negative 6. So always keep in mind the number 5 and negative 6. That cannot be the part of the answer. I am explaining this because sometimes we can have equality sign here. Equality sign here means these numbers, negative 6, negative 4, 2, 3, 5, that also you can consider, but again there is some restriction. Look, the numbers that you get from the numerator like 2, 3, negative 4, if you have the equality sign, you can take the number 2, 3, negative 4 as a part of the answer. But the number that you get from denominator, that you cannot take as the part of your answer, whether you have equality sign or not. So that is the overriding rule. The numbers that we get from the denominator, that should not be the part of the answer, even if you have the equality sign. And if you don't have the equality sign, then obviously these numbers you cannot take as the part of the answer. So if you don't have equality sign, means simply like between negative infinity and negative 6, negative 6 and negative 4, this way. So see how we can write the answer here. For positive, how we can write the answer. So look, x will be your, for positive means minus 4 to 2, So minus 4 comma 2, both we have to take in open interval. Why? Because we don't have any equality sign. Look, this is just a general explanation. Then we will be taking the particular questions. Sometimes we have equality sign. Sometimes we don't have equality sign. Accordingly, we have to use the open or closed interval. But the numbers that you get from the denominator, that always we have to keep in open interval. So negative 4 to negative 4 to 2. Here we have positive sign. Then we have 5 to infinity. So union 5 to infinite. Look, infinite and negative infinite, that we always take in open interval. Clear? And here anyway, we don't have any equality sign. So no possibility of taking the closed interval here. Clear? Yes, we have the equality sign. Then we can take the answers in closed interval. But again, minus 5, 5 and minus 6, that cannot be in closed interval. Clear? I will be writing down these rules, no problem with that. But see, we are going to solve one question like this. Like see this question. Very interesting question. Now see, how many positive integral values can X take that satisfy this particular inequality? Look, you have to take the integral values, right? And positive integral values means starting from 1. So 1, 2, 3 and up to infinite. These are the possible values of X. Now see, what are the factors? And can you see all the factors have the power 1 here? All the factors have the power 1 means all the factors have odd power. And the numbers here x minus 8, x minus 10, x minus 12 means the value of X. If you equate all the factors as 0, you would be getting 8, 10, 12 up to 100. So simply see, you are going to have a number line. And you know, on this number line, we will have to write the numbers like 8, then 10, then 12, then 14, then 16, and this up to 100. Okay. Now see, even if you try to get the answer for 5 numbers or 6 numbers, accordingly you can get the answer. Like say here, overall, just tell me one thing. If you are starting from 8, 10 and going up to 100, these are all even numbers. From 1 to 100, we are having 50 even numbers. Out of that, we haven't taken here 2, 4 and 6. So overall, this is your 47 numbers, right? 47 is some odd number. So that's why we are going to explain this with the help of simply few odd numbers like 8. With the help of, look, odd numbers means the number of numbers like 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. How many numbers we have taken here? 5 numbers we have taken here. So we are going to explain this with the help of 5 numbers. Similarly, you can get it for 47 such numbers. So see what happens. Here we have infinite, positive sign, negative sign, positive sign, negative sign, positive sign, and here negative sign. Now see here, below 8, lesser than 8, whatever the value you take, always you get the negative, and yes, we have to take the same negative. So lesser than 8, you can take all the values, clear? But positive integers. So lesser than 8, how many positive integers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So obviously we can take these 7 numbers. That will give you always the negative answer. Now, you will be getting negative here between 10, 12. You will be getting negative here between 14 and 16. So can you see one thing? When we have taken the 5 even numbers 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, these 7 numbers are always there as negative. And 2 more negatives we are getting. Between 10 and 12, the only integer that we can have is 11. So for 11, you will be having the negative answer. Between 14 and 16, again, we have only one integral value. That is your 15. So see what happens. 1 to 7. 7 numbers are always there. And then 2 more numbers. Now relate this. When you have taken 5 even numbers, then the answer is these 7 numbers plus 2 more numbers. So if you are taking 5 numbers, then what? 7 and then 2. How you get 2? 5 numbers. Can you see? When we are taking 5 numbers, so we are having plus sign 3 times, minus sign 3 times, but below 8 that we have counted in totality from 1 to 7. So 2 more negatives we are getting here. So for 5 numbers we are getting 5 minus 1 by 2, that is 2 negatives. So for 47 we would be getting 47 minus 1 by 2, that is 23. And 1 to 7 is always there. So total how many numbers are there? 1 to 7 means 7 numbers, and then 23 more numbers that will give you the negative answer. So total we will be having 23 plus 7. So the answer is going to be 30. Clear? So that is the basic idea. Clear? And likewise, we can solve the questions. We are having many questions. Like see, these 2 questions. See the third question and the second question. This question, you know what we just need to do here? Just take, as I suggested you, don't ever do the cross multiplication. That may give you the wrong answer. So just take this on the left hand side. 1 by x plus 5 minus 1 by 2x minus 3. Just take the LCM. This is less than 0. So 2x minus 3 minus x minus 5. X plus 5 times 2x minus 3 less than 0. Now 2x minus x, so that finally becomes x minus 8 by x plus 5 2x minus 3 less than 0. Now, what are the factors? X minus 8, x plus 5, 2x minus 3. If you equate all the factors equal to 0, what are the numbers that you will get? So see here, x minus 8, so you would be getting 8, negative 5 and 3 by 2. Just arrange them in order. Negative 5, 3 by 2, 8. From the right side means positive infinity, start giving the positive sign, because here we have the positive sign for this expression. All the factors have the odd power. 1, 1, 1 is the power for all the factors. So positive, negative, positive, negative. We have to solve for negative, right? So we have to solve for negative means this and this could be the answer. But here we have the equality sign. Equality sign means this negative 5, 3 by 2 and 8 can be the part of the answer, provided they are not the numbers that we get from denominator. So see carefully. This negative 5 and 3 by 2 we are getting from the denominator. So these 2 numbers you cannot take as the part of the answer. So how we can write the answer? See here. So negative infinity up to negative 5. So x could be your negative infinite up to negative 5. Negative 5 we get from the denominator. So that's in open interval. Union 3 by 2 again we get from the denominator. So that again in open interval. But and this 8 we are getting from the numerator, right? So if we get x8 from the numerator, that you can always take in closed interval if we have equality sign. So 3 by 2 comma 8. Now with 8 you can take here equality sign. Clear? So this is the answer. And look, this answer we can also write as x is less than negative 5 or x is your less than equals to 8 but greater than 3 by 2. With 3 by 2 you don't have to take any equality sign. But with 8 you can take, not you can take. Since we have here equality sign means you have to take. the equality sign with it, right? So that's all for today. This question I leave for you guys. Look, the basic idea here is that you do the factorization. So what you can do here, if you just put x equals to 1, no, it gives you the 0 value, means x minus 1 is going to be a factor for this. So divide this expression by x minus 1. So that will give you x minus 1 times some quadratic. To factorize this quadratic, you are going to get 3 factors. And then you can apply the sign rule and then you can write the answer for this. Okay. That's all for today. I'm closing the session for the day. Thank you.